afternoon, fellow Misfits. It is a slight delay, but that's why we give you a nice intro, courtesy of Matt Chazzler. So, Big Bad John, Matt Chazzler, go ahead and say hi to everyone.
How y'all doing today? Hope you're staying warm in this cold weather.
So radio professional sounding.
I was trying to work on my radio voice. Man, you should hear it through the new microphones.
I'm waiting, honestly, even though we're here to talk, I'm waiting to jump off and hear it play back, because Matt Chazzler got all the new mics set up, so everything's running wonderfully. But anyway, it is January 15th. We are here live inside Misfit HQ, and here to bring you another Misfit Monday Debrief, albeit cold as it may be.
Also, if y'all are wondering, the picture looks a little grainy right now, and I'm pretty sure that's because of the current amount of people able to actually sit there and use the internet right now.
But you know, we'll take some pixelated images if it means that we actually get more people being able to sit and tune in instead of being caught up like they normally would be.
See, and jokes on all the other people, because I do better with just my voice. So you could say video killed the debrief. Not star? I don't know.
Debrief round? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
We'll go with rounds. I don't know. But hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all, at least here locally and anywhere else that you're getting snow and all this, feels like negative a million. Hopefully y'all are feeling all right. It's definitely been cold for us. Interesting though, you're driving in and there's snow, but it's all just dust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of it's stuck.
Yeah, when it's driving to come into this shop, you just have all the snow blowing off the hood of the car, which I kind of figured, so I didn't bother cleaning it off before I left.
And not that, having heavier vehicles like we do, we don't get much excuse to not show up. But we want to be here anyway because it's Monday and we got to bring you the debrief. And we got stuff to talk about.
I felt sad because I was driving in the Challenger and it has an eco mode, which I subscribe that on clear roads no one should ever use. But given that I don't want the car to completely spin out, I've been driving in that.
Not the greatest. But so we got a couple just updates to bring y'all, and then we're gonna keep jumping into discussion like we've been these last couple Mondays, as nice as it has been. So first and foremost, well, not foremost, but first, sure you noticed this larger decorated canister next to us. So I know we'd discussed it a little bit when we were going through all of our deals coming out of last year, but we've got the large kilo canisters. You'll get somewhere around 3.5, give or take, pounds of coffee in there, depending on which origin you get. So we've got them on sale now, just to general, no bundle deal needed. So we got a couple of them in stock, running about $45. If y'all are looking for it, I'll tell you. Someone was asking over the weekend to remind them what our deal was for the canisters, and so just to give y'all a refresher, any bean, grounds, whatever canister that you buy from us, whether it be the tins with the Cobra tin design on it, or any of our Airscape canisters, you save $2 a pound per coffee.
That's a big savings, especially in this economy.
Which is a lot of why we do it. We wanted to do that from the start, but again, it's understanding where everybody's at. Any way that we can help y'all out and you still be able to enjoy a good cup of coffee, you should be able to without paying all of your paycheck.
Yeah, seriously. And the thing is, we understand that Dyersburg isn't thriving. You guys can't afford to come out and pay $5-6 for a cup of coffee every day.
No.
And so we don't want to try and get into that. Sure, if we sell to other places that are in more well-off areas, yeah, there's going to be a quality price for them. But we know that you guys, not saying that y'all are dirt poor, but we know that we're not the economic thriving thing of New York, where it costs $1,200 in rent for a studio apartment.
Well, we know the way things are looking right now. People can't afford to just shell out money for anything because you're already shelling it out just for daily necessities. So any way that we can help, that's why you're going to be seeing a lot this year. We're pretty sure a lot of deals we're throwing out, a lot of chances, just to save some money and be able to, you want to support local, but you can't have to spend triple the price just to support local. That being said, the deal we ran last week on the El Salvadorian, I'm pointing to the wall that y'all can't see, but there's a wall there with coffee. Excellent, because we can spin the camera. So your El Salvadorian up top is just about done, and if you decide to buy If you want to buy it with Costa Rican so that you can unlock that early, we will give a discount. People did come and do that last week, so thank you to you who did. And we'll be running it until the El Salvadorian's gone.
Unfortunately, the El Salvadorian didn't show up in the shot because I didn't want to move up and down as well.
Ah, well, you know what? They got a nice pan view, so they can take it.
They should have bought plenty of by now. They know what it looks like.
You know that's right. So that's kind of it as far as deals go. We've got everything else stocked to plenty. We've got all your origins. We've got cartridges, bags, beans. So I know it's cold, but I know for me, I mean, I'm drinking coffee regardless, but there's nothing better when you wake up and it's freezing to be able to make a nice cup of coffee.
That's true. At that point, it's not too hot. It's just hot enough.
It's never too hot.
It is when you burn the few taste buds you have. Speaking of which, we learned from Bar Rescue that men actually have less taste buds than most women. Actually, no. Men as a whole have less taste buds than women.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where I already have few to work with. I can't afford to get rid of the ones that I do have.
Which is why women, we're counting on you for the reviews of how our coffee tastes. And men, we're counting on you to ask your wives.
Yeah. And also our boss says that it is, in fact, too hot.
I'm getting fired again, I guess. Oh, boy.
Oh, no. That's all right. We still got Charlotte Ann to look forward to. She'll be able to take our spots.
That's fair. And she'll do a better job, too.
Yeah, I say that knowing that I'll be out of job, too.
Find something to do. Other than that, as far as events for at least the next coming month, we don't have much. But I figured we would go ahead and announce we've had 2 events posed to us for May. And so I believe it's May 10th. There's going to be a local concert here. Brian Trejo, Christian rap artist, he'll be out there for that. A good friend of ours that we met out at New Bern is the one kind of spearheading that whole thing. So we've got that to look forward to. And then there is a tattoo expo in Paris that we've been reserved a booth for.
And that's in May?
That's in May.
Man, that's so far
I
away.
know. But at the same time, it's not. We're halfway through January.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, it still feels, or I'm still surprised 2023 ended.
You're not wrong. I haven't messed up yet, but I'm waiting for it. Especially when I'm writing stuff down in the roast log and I'm referencing roasts from last year on the same line that I'm writing the roast for this year. I'm like, gotta remember 23, 24.
I just avoid writing things. It
That's
helps.
Fair. Yeah. So that's about it. We'll be open, should be open all of today up until 4:00. If you can get out here, come on and see us. We'd love to just sit and chat, give you a cup of coffee, come back in. You know, now that the holidays are pretty well behind us and everything is starting to get back into a normal groove, come restock, come do what you got to do. And quite honestly, and we're just going to trust people won't take advantage. If you've been buying regularly, if you're looking to try and things are just a little rough right now and you really want a bag, you really want a box of cartridges, just come in and ask. You know, we've even had people, I guess may as well say it now, but we've had people donate money just to pay it forward fund. So if you just need a cup but it's just one of those weeks, come on in, we're happy to give you one.
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to say is, you know, if you can't afford to buy a bag and bring it home with you, you know, it's $2 for a cup. I know it's not one of those things where I say it's only $2. You need to come in and buy it, but we're not going to gouge you on price for a cup. Come in and try it, even if it's just once a month, once a week. You get to try it. We want to make this as affordable as possible in as many avenues as possible.
Exactly. And then to all the viewers out there, I don't know who's tuned in, who you can see, but hello, Princess Magpul. Nice to see you. Thanks for firing me.
She hasn't said anything to that effect yet.
And
excellent. Nick just showed up.
Hey, Nick. Excellent.
So we got 2.
Excellent.
Hey, it's a modest bunch, but it's a loyal bunch.
It's more than 0 who we're normally talking to when we're standing here doing things.
Oh, Princess is about to hit us with something.
While that gets typed out, I think so just kind of going into today for the discussion, because that's pretty much it for business. I mean, what do we get?
You've now officially been fired. It's in writing, time-stamped, 12/23.
Oh, man. Time of death. Oh, well. But yeah, that's about it for business, for Origins. Y'all know what we've got, and we made sure to stock up on plenty of the Origins that we're running just to make sure that you're not having to jump back and forth and watch all your favorite characters die like a normal TV show. So we've got everything lined out. And then as far as discussion for today, in talking to, asking Princess Magpul, you're typically a sounding board for topics for the discussions today. And then Matt Chazzler and I were here chatting about just what we're going to talk about for today. I think you're going to see it's hit me that these last couple lives, there's something to be said about us diving into not just the coffee, but it's really hit all of us just diving into the things that the business was made to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the topics Jonathan and I mentioned beforehand is just we went into this knowing that we weren't going after the hoity-toity, the people who know what a pour-over is, people who've probably never used the French press, and we actually wore that as a badge of honor. We're going after the blue-collar guy, the guy who has too much time to worry about that. He just wants a good cup of coffee. But with that, it's like, okay, well, we can talk about coffee if people are interested, but plug, and I'm not going to say shameless plug because I don't have any shame in it anyways, because there shouldn't be shame in plugging something that's yours on a debrief that's yours. We have a YouTube channel that's up and running. We post all of our debriefs there, and we're going to start posting other content. You'll see firearm content from me. You'll see coffee stuff from Jonathan if he wants. And the goal as of right now is once a month on a Saturday when most people are off, do more like a biblical slash I guess what do they call the cultural discussion with a biblical perspective, and just saying, okay, what is the cultural norm right now, and what should it be based off what God has given us in His Word. Right. So we're going to be bringing that to you. You can go there and watch all the lives, and you can go there if you want more in-depth coffee content.
And you'll still see a lot of that coming up here, but you're going to notice there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to what we throw into the debrief, because really, I mean, it's supposed to be a debrief of the last week. So whatever God's put on our hearts to come and speak, it may be coffee related, it may be strictly political. Whatever it comes out to be, you'll get at least a good snippet of it here on the live, and then you'll get a much more in-depth discussion when we hit the round table.
Yeah, as I say, you may either love it or hate it. One of the discussions may be just from conversations we had with you guys that sparked a topic that we felt was worth talking about.
And so with that for today, it just kind of with the thought of, Princess Magpul had asked what kind of theological things I might have to talk about, because I had a whole coffee thing planned, and Matt Chazzler and I discussed it, but then it kind of hit me. Philippians 4 verse 6. Now, again, I know not all of y'all may be, y'all may not all be, following Christ. That may not be your typical run to, but when we speak, we're going to speak from that lens, because that's the perspective that we know, and more importantly, that we know it to be true. So that's the one that's most relevant. Philippians 4:6 it says, "Do not be anxious about anything." But by prayer and supplication, bring your needs and concerns to God. And that's kind of what was sitting on my heart to discuss today, in just the, because we've all felt it. We know y'all have felt it. We know we've felt it. It's not like local, especially local businesses, you just have product flying off the shelves. We're not going to sit here and claim that we've got thousands of bags flying out of here every week and we're just rolling around in shekels and coffee beans. Like, it's, it's how times are. And it's important, I think, for us to understand where we're getting our hope when we sit in places like that.
Well, and that's the thing. We talk about how much we've grown. We talk about how much you guys have supported us, and not to diminish that in any way, but it's not like Jonathan, like you said earlier, it's not anything huge where we're just making money hand over fist. It's realistically, it's just a blessing, because it's more than where we were, which is realistically, as we as Christians, how we should feel about it. If God's given us more than what He was before, we should be thankful. We should consider ourselves blessed. And would we like to see this grow even more? Yeah. Are we happy with where we've gotten so far? Yeah. It's still got ways to go, but it's a blessing where it has come.
And exactly. And so we try, even though we struggle with it day to day, because we can say it to you now, and then an hour from now we'll be stressing out about it and going nuts. But in looking at all of the places of where you were versus where you've been, even if you're technically in a worse spot, we understand that there's nothing we do on a day-to-day basis that says that we deserve the next day or we deserve this next best thing. It's you do, like at work, you put in hard work and you expect that you might get a raise or that you're going to keep your job. The Bible tells us a man is worthy of his hire, so that makes perfect sense. But when we bring our needs to God, I think that's the big thing, right? Is when we're thinking about the problematic times and trying to find hope, we need to remember distinguishing the things we need versus the things we want.
Well, that's a big one right there, because we as Americans live well above our needs. If you have a flat screen TV, you have more than you need.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a smartphone, you have more than you need. We've been sold this lie that this is the basic necessities you need for life, and especially with us, from where we were having worked engineering jobs to being where we're at now, it's gotten very hard for us, and it's one of those things. We're over here touting that we're supposed to be joyful, like you said. We'll leave here. We'll be sure. I've had such a rough last few months, just with losing my job and the financial impact that it's had on me. There's been a lot of times where I was stressing, and the one thing that broke me through, and the one thing that shifted my attitude, I guess, or my feelings about it, was just sitting there and listening to hymns that were praising God for who God is, regardless of what it is. It is well being one of them. How great thou art. Two things that don't focus on anything in our life or what God has to do for us to love him. It's that he's deserving praise just because he's God.
Yep. We sat we had the wonderful opportunity, because we're talking a lot about financial things, but it's not strict to one thing. Like anything that is weighing you down, you got to have a place to find hope. And we got the wonderful chance to sit with close friends of ours from our church yesterday. The three of us as the Misfits went out with the other thing God's charged us to do, which is worship through music and song. And we just they couldn't all physically get to church, so we left church, grabbed our stuff, and went to their house. And just as a thing of us feeling led to go, we're not supposed to forsake meeting together, but also as brothers and sisters in Christ, if someone can't get there, it's just as much an obligation for us to get to them and worship with them.
And that's where we come to minister to them. James talks about it. Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone happy? Let him sing praise. Is anyone sick? Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over them. And so, we didn't pray over them. We decided we'd go a different avenue. But we prayed over the father who was able to make it, because he's been having a hard time. But it's a time to minister to those who are in need of some sort, be it emotional or physical need.
Right. And the thing, when we were all heading out, Princess Magpul commented on just the change in the atmosphere from the point we got there to even 5 minutes in. And it just, we all felt it. And just, so the whole reason we even go to that, to referencing that, they're just going from upset and anguish to, even if it's just for a couple minutes, putting everything aside, we spent time worshiping God. And what happened? Everybody was overjoyed. Everybody was smiling and just singing. Doesn't matter if you can sing or not, as long as you are vocally. My dad couldn't hold the tune in a 5-gallon bucket, but he always said, God said, make a joyful noise, so he would sing.
And see, your dad's my kind of guy, because that's the one thing I tell the choir of the church all the time. And I always tell them, God doesn't use the best, he uses the willing. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care about your ability, he cares that you're obedient. And he tells us to make a joyful noise. Your father was exactly right, so go make a joyful noise. And as someone who is musically trained and can tell if someone can or can't sing on key, I still love hearing the people who, in fact, I love it more when you can't and you're still belting it out, because it comes from a sincere heart, not from an arrogant heart of, oh, everyone listen to me sing.
Right. It's like someone who isn't perfectly slim, but they're in the gym. So many people make fun of that kind of thing. I love it. It warms my heart, like, down to the core, because I'm looking at them like, okay, you could be intimidated by everybody around you. It could be harder for you to move around, but you're physically there, putting in the effort to try. And that, to me, means more than the person who's been running 5 years and they're just in there doing their grand old thing and wiping sleep from their eyes and, I guess I'll do something today. That person's giving it their best.
Yeah, I'm more impressed with the person who's lost all the excess weight and doesn't have necessarily a shredded physique, as compared to someone who's huge and is on roids. Mm-hmm. Because that's not you. That's you seeking to make other people impressed through an unnatural means.
Right.
And it's like it's not you actually working hard, it's you cheating to make it seem like you're something you're not.
Right. And so I guess the question we want to throw out to all of you watching, whether you're watching this live, watching this later, leave a comment and just let us know. Because honestly, interacting with y'all as our community, that's like that is the thing that we want to be doing. Where are you putting your hope? Like what is it that you look to when you're struggling? Because I think I speak for all of us when we say the thing we understand is if that foundation of hope is not properly based, it's eventually going to crumble. You think you're leaning on something, you know, if you're, you know, you have a drive for something and then it suddenly doesn't prove enough. And then you're back to square one trying to find something to lean on.
Yeah, and I'd like to even throw a challenge out. If the Bible isn't necessarily the perspective you look through things, if you don't believe in the Bible, if you don't believe that it's the Word of God and stuff like that, okay, well, I want to challenge you at the very least to look at its teachings and see what the impact has been from us getting away from it. See what the impact is of the nuclear family breaking down. Look at it talks about if a man should not work, neither should he eat. What is, you know, essentially you have all these young folks who don't want to work but want to have all their needs met. You know, look at everything it teaches and see if it's really off base or if it seems to be correct with what it teaches. Because if it is, okay, if you don't want to believe it, obviously it's not ours to change people's hearts. Ours is just to spread the truth. We're going to tell you what it says. We're going to tell you what God has prescribed for humanity. And, you know, if it seems like it's legit or if it seems like it's beneficial, follow it for that reason.
Right. Because the thing we've seen, regardless of what your stance of belief is, the truths of the Bible are true. And the ways that it instructs that we should live, because we were designed to live and work and operate that way, you will find more joy living that way. When you understand, and even more so on the Christian lens, when you understand that God has ordained it, and the place that you're in didn't catch them, you didn't catch God by surprise. It's hard to then sit there and wonder, well, why is this happening? You don't need to know. If your God loves you the way that you're reading He does, He's taking care of you regardless of what the circumstance looks like.
And I think that's the big thing for those of you who do believe the Bible to be true as we do. It's gonna be hard. I mean, you know what it says. And if you don't, we encourage you to learn what it says. Go look up sermons on the internet. Big ones we recommend are Vodi Bakum and John MacArthur. Ligonier Ministries. R.C. Sproul. Those are good, solid teachers. But I know one of the big things that I always go to is it talks about how he takes care of the sparrows. You know, there's the hymn, his eye is on the sparrow, which is actually biblically based because that's what it says in the Bible. If he cares for the birds, how much more you who are made in his image.
Mm-hmm.
You can know that, but the thing about it with us as humans, we have to constantly be reminded. And so the thing I'd encourage you is change some of your habits, like some of the music you listen to. What you're taking in daily is going to shift how your mind is looking at things, thinking about things. If you're always listening to things that are negative, you're going to start seeing things that are negative. But if you look at things through the biblical lens and you have even just like a playlist somewhere that reminds you about the promises of God, it will help. It'll help you in a way that's really unmeasurable.
Right.
I don't know what the word unmeasurable or
immeasurable.
Immeasurable. That one.
And you know, and it really is, you know, understanding again. There's we're speaking to the Christians, and if you know, we're not just gonna stand here and give the blanket statement of, oh well, if we're not Christians, like what are we supposed to do? Like, you're gonna tell us we have nothing? You know, we would want you to bring that before God and just let Him show you, because we can't change your heart. But even it's just starting at the principles of it. You know, I think it was John MacArthur who'd said that it's very hard to have an argument with someone who's always thankful. And so at the very least, bare minimum, and one thing you could do that would drastically change how you view everything, given, you know, we understand, you know, inflation's through the roof. We understand it's hard to find half the goods that you would need on a shelf these days. Gas seems to be a little lower around here, but it's still way higher than it was. When you're looking at all of that, if you were to choose even just for a week to stay thankful, and just to test it, just a week of just staying thankful about all the things that you do have. You know, yeah, okay, it's hard to get these things, but thanks to, and if you don't believe, thanks to whatever that, I have a place to go work. Thank you that I have a family. Thank you that I have a house. Thank you that I have a car. The car may not be running the best, but thank you that I'm not walking to work instead. You'd be surprised just how drastically your view would shift.
I mean, even if you just think about, thank you that I have hot water in a time where if I was relying on a pond, I'd have to break the ice.
Yep.
Or thank you that I have heat in my car, like you said. For if maybe you'd commute to Jackson, it's 45 minutes that you'd have to sit in the cold.
Yeah, and it's just a drastic difference when you shift the focus off of the thing of yourself for the things that you think you need, and then instead shift it on. Okay, well, what are the things I don't need? Because for some reason I have them provided. We talk about pipes bursting. You have to have pipes with running water in order to have the problem of them potentially bursting. That's a point to be thankful. And if you walked around like that constantly, and instead of, the world would love for us, especially our government, to be focused on the money we don't have, the goods we don't have, the cost of this, or the other end of, I'm going to go chase down an 80-hour work week just so I can go take a cruise in 2 years.
Well, and that's the thing for me, having looked for several jobs, having applied to several places, the fact that I was fired from one, to have one now is, to me, a tremendous blessing, because I'm not guaranteed to have one. I'm not guaranteed to find one. And the Lord was good. I found it within a week and a half, which for months I was applying when I was at NSK, because the amount of they were working us was just killing me. And didn't hear back from anyone. And then within a week and a half, I hear back with a job that's a lot easier. Is it ideal? No, I'm working second shift now, but to some degrees, there's even blessings with it.
Yeah,
and
you get to be here.
Yeah, I get to sit here and do this, talk to all the people, talk to Nick, Princess Magpul, Phil, which I'm sad he's not on.
Oh,
He's not even. I don't even think he's up front. So Filbert, you are you're in trouble. There's gonna have to be a written record of consultation.
Yeah.
Since you weren't at a work function.
You're in cold water because there's not much hot water because it's not outside.
If I had a soundboard, the audience would be hearing boos right now.
I think you mean applause.
Unless you're sitting back here, I get to control what they hear. But Nick has pointed out too, it's not so much about the money as it is the fellowship and the friends you make through the limited time you have on this big floating rock called Earth. I like that one. You guys are doing a great job and can't wait to see what God has in store for you. And I think that's another important part. Surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you. Not just encourage you with empty words, but also encourage you with things you need to do differently. Like, we are all blind to our own shortcomings. We don't like to admit our own shortcomings. It feels like a thing of weakness. Surround yourself with people who are going to be honest enough to tell you what you need to improve.
Yep.
If you're being lazy and you don't want to take a hard job, or you're calling off too much because it's like, oh man, I had this inconvenience, or I had this. I mean, the amount of people that I've seen call in for reasons, I'm just like, but you need people who are going to care about you, but also care enough about you to tell you the truth, regardless of how you may react to it or how they may feel it impact yours and their friendship.
Right, because that's one of the, especially when we hit a time like this where we're struggling with whatever it is and we're just feeling down because we feel like we're failing, as people. I'm not even saying here specifically, I mean as people, one of the first questions we should be asking is, am I doing everything I need to be doing? And, perfect example of surrounding yourselves with people, Nick. Yes, the very Nick watching. He always, every day it's Rwandan. That's his coffee. He drinks it every time, and it's just, it's his favorite. And one day, I believe it was the Rwandan, he brewed up and he took a sip of it and he's like, man, I mean no disrespect, but this don't taste right. This tastes awful. And I started freaking out. I was like, what do you mean it tastes awful? Keurig needed to be descaled. And I just hadn't caught it, running around with roasting and driving around. And if he had gone the route of, oh well, I don't want to offend him, so I'm just gonna kind of, no, it's just one, then it would have sat there, and who knows who else would have gotten it, and that could have ruined someone else's impression of the business. It could have ruined a sale. It could have ruined someone who would have been drinking it for years.
But it could have ruined a returning customer. They would have been like, oh, their quality's starting to slip. Oh, they're not caring as much about quality. They're probably not And people are a lot quicker to jump to assumptions than they are to actually ask questions and get the full picture.
Yep.
And so it helps us to know, because then we can fix it right away rather than have customer after customer have a bad experience.
Yeah. And when we're asking any of those questions about trying to figure out where we're at, that hope, that's why I say it needs to be properly grounded. Because there are some things, you can focus for one on the stuff you're doing. Some stuff is out of your control. And that's where the biblical perspective, really shows itself, because we understand, it is out of our control. But regardless, understanding that, okay, certain things are out of my control, what can I control? It doesn't matter if we've got 50 people in here or 2. Quality is still something that we can control and we should be striving for. Quality of the videos, quality of the coffee, quality of the firearms training, quality of the shop, of how it looks.
Even just the quality of how we interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
We can still treat them with dignity and respect and care about what they have to say. If they come in and they're talking about something that we don't have any interest in, well, that's okay. If you have interest into it, then that's the one thing you'll learn from us. If you have interest in it, we'll love to hear about it. Because there's nothing we love more than hearing something that you're actually passionate about. We have far too many people who their big thing is just going on social media and looking at memes.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. A great way to pass the time when you're, in a business meeting. But if that's all you're doing, you're not really learning. You're not really growing yourself. You're not working on a skill. You're not working on an ability. All you're doing is just wasting time. And that then you don't really have anything meaningful to say when you do come in.
Yep. And even in conjunction with that, just in your interactions, we understand we're not meant to do this alone. Your point about having a good group around you to support you, because you're not supposed to go off and do it by yourself. Yeah, there's things like when we're working here, when we're roasting or driving, or yes, that is by yourself. But we mean the bigger picture of you living life is not meant to be secluded, alone. Everybody get away. We're supposed to have encouragement and correction and fellowship from the people around us.
Well, and that actually lends itself to a good point. I mean, look at the thing of communism and how it's such a huge rise in our society. Well, if you look at it from the biblical perspective, we were called to be the ones to take care of the poor, to take care of the needy. He gave civil law to Israel on how they were to care for the poor. And even in the New Testament, they talk to us about how we're supposed to take care of orphans and widows. And now that we've gotten away from that being a dependence on the people of God, now who are they looking to? The government. And as we've seen in every country that's tried to implement communism or socialism, it doesn't work.
Nope. And especially as Christians, we understand there's a reason why the Bible did not say, for those of you in power, go take care of the poor. Actually, the Bible says how hard it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom. We understand that, as you just said, it's our job on the blue-collar level to take care of our neighbor, to take care of the orphans and the widows. And that's why we say, even if it's, no, a cup of coffee is not keeping you alive. We'll joke and all that, but we understand that, with the exception of me, it doesn't keep you alive.
There are certain days I need it.
You're right. But wholesale, someone walks through the door, the coffee's not keeping them alive. But how do we know that interaction isn't? How do we know that one pleasant interaction with being able to walk into a place you've never been before and walk in and you ask for a cup of coffee and you actually get someone caring about your day instead with the cup of coffee? How do you know that doesn't push someone that much further, that they're able to sustain whatever they're struggling with just because they had a kind face?
Well, and you look at, we've been playing The Forest.
Wonderful game.
What was the one with man, I don't even know his name. See, I forgot all the Hollywood stars because I don't really care about Tom Hanks when he was on an island.
Oh,
well, it's a Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, but you look at what they do. They create someone or something to represent someone, because we were made, like you said, we were made to have that human interaction. We were designed that way. It even says in the Bible, do not forsake the assembly.
Mm-hmm.
God made us to have fellowship with one another, and so we seek that out. And a lot of I would speculate and be willing to throw out there, a lot of the whole thing that we call mental health crisis, mental this is because society is broken down. We no longer go out. We no longer go out to coffee shops and meet up with friends. We no longer go out and do things with friends, it's all through social media. Oh, hey, and you don't get social interaction with there. That's not social. You're just reading text.
Yup.
You might as well just be reading letters. You don't know who sent them.
I mean, when we were kids, when you were feeling down and you were feeling hopeless, what did you do? You'd go complain to your friends. You'd go find someone and just talk. And you know, you could say, okay, girls versus boys, more or less, whatever. But everybody did it to some extent, unless you had no one. And the people who had no one to complain to, at least from what I observed, were always more upset. But the people who had a group where they could just walk in and say, man, it's just, I'm having a bad day, failed a test, you know, this thing didn't go right, you know, my parents are arguing, or things are just tense in the house, or I'm just having a hard, whatever. When you had people to lean on, that was a lot of where you get your hope from as a kid, was your friends and the people who supported you around you.
And that's the thing about it, right? It goes back to that whole surround yourself with things that affects your mindset. Because one of the things you do as a friend is you try to get them out, because we'll get hyper focused on this one bad thing that's happening to us, and we forget that there's all this stuff around us. And your friends will kind of help us, like, hey, hold on, take a step back, look at your life as a whole. You got a lot of good things going for you. You have this one negative, dust yourself off, and maybe just don't even dust yourself off. Get up and just keep going.
Just run at it. It just because again, if you have a support system that will pick you up and push you out the door, and just, okay, maybe they understand the urgency that you don't have time to dust yourself off. You just got to get back out and keep going. But having that, you know, then you bring it back to where we started. You know, do not be anxious about anything. You know, but by prayer and supplication. For us, we bring those things to God, and we understand that, you know, God has blessed us with friends. He's blessed us with family. For a lot of you, he's blessed us with significant others.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, where's the best place you can place your problems in? The hands of your Creator. Because they created you, they wrote the start, they wrote the end, and they know where it's going. So if you're really that concerned, I mean, I know if I were reading a book and I was midway through it and I was getting anxious about what the end was going to look like and I couldn't stand it anymore, I would just go ask the author and find out what happened, and then, okay, we've got the answer. And that's really the same thing we have now. You may not always get the answer, but we can trust that as Christians, God always hears our questions.
Well, and the one thing that realistically needs to be understood is that you may hear what we have to say, and you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing these things. You start doing these things. Don't expect your situation necessarily to turn around. This isn't a prosperity thing. This isn't a thing of if you obey God, He's going to fix everything, and you're not going to have to suffer anything that you're going through. It's just a matter of you yourself will find more joy. You yourself will find peace. And yes, to a degree, the more you implement the things that are right, God will take care of the rest, because He's designed it to be that way. If you work hard, if you continue to work hard, if you do everything as unto the Lord, and you don't take the attitude of, well, if they pay me more, I'll work harder, but you're working harder from the start, then it's highly possible when the layoffs come, they're not going to turn around and be like, well, we don't want that guy.
Yep. I mean, that's probably the biggest point of it all. You know, you've got a place to put your hope in, but you also can't expect that just because you spend a week being thankful, all of a sudden everything's going to be great. You know, the problems, likely, especially right now, they'll likely still be there. We're not talking about removing every source of problem as if you're going to reach some state of, what are they used to, like more elevated, heightened mental states or something. You're not going to reach nirvana. You're not going to reach nirvana in a week of just saying, oh, thank you for this, thank you for the puddle. But we understand that this is what helps us cope and get through it, and still keep that positive attitude, still keep the drive to keep showing up to work, to keep working hard with the family, to keep doing the things that you're doing. Understand that, yeah, everything isn't great around us. Not even as a Christian are we going to tell you that it's going to get there. But you have the proper understanding that it's a part of life, and it has to be there.
And I think that's the big thing. We're not talking about doing things for a time. We're talking about a complete lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, yeah.
It's something you do naturally. It's something you seek to do every day, almost as a reflex. Not even, oh, I have to be thankful. Oh, I got to remind myself to be thankful. But the one thing that I think is worth throwing out as a challenge, especially for those who do say that you're a Christian, if you do believe in God, if you do believe in the Bible, find yourself a church. And I'm not talking about one where it's going to be convenient to go. It's going to be nice to go. You can show up and leave and say, okay, I went to church. Find yourself a church family. Find people who are going to love you, who are interested, who are excited to see that you're there and want to talk to you, want to get to know you, and be willing to be open. I understand, even if you look at Jesus, there was the 12 disciples, but even within there, there's only a few that are referred to as the one that Jesus loved. John is the big one that's referred to that, but there was levels of intimacy that wasn't shared throughout.
Mm-hmm.
But find yourself a church family that actually cares and actually wants you to be there, because checking it off isn't worth anything.
Yep. And it's, again, yes, we tie it back to, to the more biblical outlook. But even if you're not a Christian, just go back and look and think about it. What people group is bound by what they follow to look out for you? Because I can't think of many other than Christianity, where when you walk in, you understand that if they're true Bible-believing and Bible-following Christians, they don't get a choice whether they're going to check in on you. It's their job. So if I were going to put money down on something, I'm going to put my money on the one that has me guaranteed to have someone who's got my back.
I say, the one that tells you to love your enemies. Now, there's going to be Christians that aren't going to follow, yeah, but it's still a commandment. And it's something that realistically you can hold them to, because that's what they answer to.
And if you're real skeptical, you get to have a little bit of fun there, because if you find a Christian not following the Bible, that's where you get to step forward and say, hey, you're telling me I'm supposed to do this. Why aren't you? Or on the other side, you find a church like we have that actually does that, where one person says they're in need, 5 people are there lining up ready to help. Then you get a true picture of what Christ looks like.
Man, I had a point, and it just
out the window.
Probably because I took this off my air. It'll keep my thoughts in.
There you go.
No.
Keep.
Oh, there's. Oh well. Coffee.
So for y'all watching, let us again drop stuff in the comments. We're watching regardless of whether this is on the live or if you're watching it after the fact. But let us know. Let us know what you're struggling with. Let us know where you're finding your hope. Or just be frank and tell us that you can't find it. Let us know if you're really struggling that much, because, again, this is, the coffee secondary. This was never meant to be the point. This is the platform to be able to have the discussions. I know we've beat this drum constantly, but we're going to continue to. The coffee just gives us the platform to discuss Christ, to discuss the Constitution, to discuss, where we see the importance in firearms, and really, and even for this, the importance of the political outlook and how we handle it day to day. So let us know. Drop in the comments. Shoot us a message. As we saw from last week, y'all are not afraid to just jump on and send private messages when you're looking for stuff, and we thank you for it, because we're more than happy to answer it.
And you have it officially from our boss. Let us know what we can be praying for you. Amen. And we will be.
Yep. And we mean that. We do. We sit as a group, and we do. We sit, we pray. And if there's, for those of you, and we've told you over and over again, we do. When you tell us you've got issues, you've got, someone in the family sick, you're struggling with something financial, something just came up, and you need to get something repaired, whatever it is, we sit as a group and pray, because that's first and foremost to the business.
Yeah, it's, again, one of the things that we were talking about is we don't want it to be where we're saying, oh, we stand for God, guns, and freedom, or coffee, and here we are, all we do is talk to you about guns and coffee.
Yeah.
That seems highly dishonest, and that's not what we're going to do.
Which is why you will be seeing a lot more Misfit Monday debriefs like this. It's debriefing the last week in coffee, it's debriefing the last week in business, and then it's really debriefing the last week in thought, because the amount of things that we unpack throughout the week and discuss, it would be impossible to condense them all, but we're going to pick the one that God puts a big shining star on, and that's what you're going to get to hear for the week.
Yeah, so be ready for it. Get your thinking caps.
And I think that probably about wraps us up, huh?
I'm blanking on stuff. I'm not all with it today.
That's just the understanding that we're ready to wrap up then. Just keep in mind, again, doors always open. You're looking for coffee, you're looking for discussion, you come find us. We're really enjoying being able to sit, together and talk with you like this. It's a lot more fun when we're in person and we get to actually just stand around and drink and talk. And if you need a free cup of coffee to do it, we'll give you a cup. Just come in and talk. You get a free one with a bag anyway. So
That's true. You can't beat that.
no,
You get to try what you're buying. Decide you don't like it and swap it out right then and there.
there you go.
Just kidding. You're gonna love it.
He's right, you know. With all that being said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap her up. So thank you all for joining us. We hope we hope that what we had to say today really struck something with you. Again, just keep your head up, because though it may be cold and things may be rough, we understand that God foreknew it. He ordained it before we ever stepped foot on this earth, and he's going to carry us through it. So with that being said, Big Bad John, Mad Chazzler, and Princess Magpole out from the computer out in the other end, and bringing you another Misfit Monday Debrief. Stay safe, stay free, and stay caffeinated, Misfits. Good cup.
There we go. Now we trim. The best is yet to come.
Oh, we forgot to say. Oh.
Because the best is yet to come. Hi. Something ain't right. Did it really run for 50? It says 56 minutes. No. Okay. Okay, some of that it's set live for a while. Set on the load. There it is. There we go. 20 to 56. So 36 minutes. Hell yeah. I realize I'm not as funny as second chair.
It's okay, because I realize I'm funnier in second chair.
You are. You're hilarious in second chair.
Like I like running the lives, but after last week, I like me. Just because I like chiming in.
You're more quick-witted about it. I don't know.
That pans out to be. Switch it up. We're gonna just have to switch it up.
Just be like, yeah, so we decided that Jonathan decided he's funnier in second chair. I decided I like leading it, so we're gonna switch it up on you. Hey, coffee man, surprise, you're not. Wanna know what? Wanna know